Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Carmelita Podcast. This is where you learn to live like a champion. On today's episode, I have got one of the global champions that I have been watching for a while, Mr. Spencer Lodge. He's called the passive income specialist, real estate investor like myself, sales expert like myself, author and award-winning podcast, not yet, founder of Make It Happen Sales University, which he'll tell us about. He's an international investment specialist and sales expert. Everything Spencer does is centered around these core pillars: making money, saving money, investing money, which is right up my street. He realized early on in his career that he has the knack to really help others introduce those particular aspects in their lives. And so he's combined his intensive and extensive training and has helped thousands across the world do exactly the same. He's a highly effective and experienced sales technique individual who's helped companies and businesses across the world. And I really want to know a lot more about his Make It Happen University, what he teaches and how. He's shared the stage and has interviewed some amazing people like Tony Robbins, Dr. John DeMartini, Gary Vee, and Grant Cardone himself. So let's welcome to the Carmelita Podcast, Mr. Spencer Lodge.
I like that. Do the intro again. I like that. That's a good one, that. You can actually do my intros on my podcast. I like that. How much do you charge?
We're gonna bring it. We're gonna bring it. For you, it's free, but we're gonna bring it. Right now, then, Spencer. I know this is not where you started, but I want to jump in first and ask you why Make It Happen University. I mean, everybody says the word "make it happen," make it happen. Why those words, and why did you choose to do that?
I think when you there's a saying that I'm known for, okay, and by the people that are in my community and that have known me for 20, 30 years, and that saying is, it's not rocket science. And because I think that people overcomplicate so many things. And business, sales as an example, is overcomplicated because people are trying to understand their level of self-awareness. They're understanding, they're getting confused between people saying people are natural salespeople or born with the gift of the gab or, natural communicator, vis-a-vis having skills to be able to do a job. And in sales, it's a skills-related job. And so the name Make It Happen came from the fact that I around the time of designing the university and creating all the content, kept saying to my producers, why don't we just make this happen? And so it just became something. And then when we decided we were coming up with a name, then everyone was like, why don't you just call it Make It Happen? Because that's what you keep saying. And that's really where it came from.
I love it. Now, look, I'm gonna dive straight in. I saw a post you did this morning on LinkedIn, and I thought that was so poignant because you are an expert that talks about passive income, okay? And not just passive income, but passive income whereby you don't have to watch a screen to earn money. And I love your three core pillars: making money, saving money, investing money. Where did that come from, and why passive income?
Well, first of all, by training and trade, I'm an investment advisor. So when I was 23, I got into the investment advisory business, moved to Hong Kong, and I've lived in 10 different countries now being an investment advisor. And I own an investment advisory business along with other businesses I own. And so my kind of DNA is all about money. I understood it at a young age. And what I've learned over the years is people have such a terrible mindset around money. Their money mindset is very poor overall. And that's because they either are fearful of understanding it because it sounds a bit complicated, or their behavior is focused on spend rather than save. So that I think that's where my DNA comes from and my thinking comes from. And so for me, when we look at investing money, there are two types of investments you can make. One is to create income and the other one is to create growth. And don't get me wrong, growth has a place. But when you invest money and you're given, you invest an amount of money with whoever it may be in whichever fund or whatever project it is, you get given every 3 months a fancy diagram with a graph showing the line zigzagging up. And that's great. And you're going, I'm up 20%, I'm up 10%, whatever it may be. But are you? And with growth investing, you're nothing until you realize the investment. So an investment can go up from, let's say, £100,000 can become £150,000 on paper. But when you go to encash it, because it's moved, the markets have moved, it might be 110,000. So what happens is you get disappointed because you sell yourself on the fact that you've made a 50,000 profit. And then when you come to realize it, you haven't. And that's quite damaging, I think, with people's relationship with money. So for me, all of the investing that I do is based around creating passive income, i.e. my money makes money, pays me a monthly income, and I don't have to work. I can sleep and it's still working. I can dance, I can go on holiday. It doesn't matter. Now,
hold on, ready. Why do you think then that is it because this particular side is taught so much by so-called financial gurus and so-called financial advisors that you need to put your money over here and just, let it occur over time, sort of the whole the compound interest kind of thing? Why is it that so many people get caught up and don't want to shift to have passive income?
Because first of all, financial advisors are regulated. So when you're regulated, you're only allowed to sell and market products that the government believe that are right for you. And what the government believe is that most people are stupid. Now, what they want to do is protect people from not making bad investments.
Yeah.
However, they don't allow financial advisors to offer everything that's out there on the marketplace. And so, and the other thing that the governments want to do is to make sure you have money when you retire. They don't want you to spend it all. So by you locking it away over the years and hopefully it grows, they know that when you get to 65 or whatever your retirement age is, that you've got a lump sum of cash that you can live off, then the income that provides. Well, for me, I don't disagree with that, because the reality is this is needed as well. It's not like it's not needed, but a lot of people go out with ambitions to be millionaires and billionaires and stuff, but you shouldn't have that ambition. Your first ambition, in my belief, is to replace your earned income. So if you go out and do a job 9 to 5 and you earn, I don't know, 50 grand a year, let's say that's your salary. How do I replace my 50 grand a year with passive income? How do I get that money coming to me every year, every month, whatever it may be, without me having to lift a finger? And when you get to a place where you replace your income, that's where independence and freedom actually starts. Because you then can decide if you want to go to work or not. And some of us do, and some of us don't. Some want to play golf all day, some want to be mums, some want to, do whatever they want to do, travel the world, whatever it may be. When you have the choices in front of you to make, that you want to make all day, every day, life becomes really sweet.
And do you think then the pandemic has heightened that? Because for the first time, some people, most people, they've had a chance to actually stop and think, heck, is this what I really want for my life? Right now, I would love to do something else. I don't have money to do something else because I put my money into one area that I can't access it as much as I would want, and I have no passive income. Do you think the pandemic has really pushed this issue, this question, this opportunity more in the forefront of people's minds?
Okay, this is what I think. Let's say you work in an office with me and there's another 100 people. And we're sat at our desks doing our job in front of our screens. We have a chance to meet at the water machine and grab a coffee or chat about the football or the weather, or someone's cheating on somebody else or some gossip. We have a chance after work once a week, once a month to go out for drinks. There is community within the workspace. Now, you take that job and you move it into your dining table in your apartment, and all of a sudden, all of that's gone. And so what you then realize is this is actually what my job is. And so has it brought it to people's attention? Yes, but it's brought it to people's attention because people have realized that their job doesn't have the community that it had before. Now, there's a lot of people that love their job, so let's not play that bit down. But there's also a lot of people that hate what they do. They hated what they did 5 years ago. They hated what they did 10 years ago, but they felt trapped. They had a mortgage, they had kids, they had blah, 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 all these other things, their credit card debts. And so they couldn't just up sticks and leave because it wasn't possible. There was leaving a company, finding a new job, going to a new career, I'm going to get paid less. So what evolved over the last 10 years is this term side hustle, which meant people could find a way of making money on the side that then could, if they chose a different career altogether, that then could essentially substitute some of the income from the previous role to provide for that. Now, there's something called the Great Resignation. And the Great Resignation is partly to do with that. But a lot of it is to do with, do I like the people I work with? Do I want to be bullied? Do I want to be told I have to turn up at 8:55 every morning? Or do I not? Or do I actually want to do something? Because there are so many jobs and so many opportunities out there. Do you want to do something that fulfills me? And And again, the pandemic has made us think more.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's anything more than that. But I also think the pandemic made people really miss their colleagues as well. Really miss going to work and catching up with them. Because you think about it, how many people get married to people they worked with? You think about it, relationships.
My husband, very few.
Okay, so a lot of people meet their partner in their working environment because you spend a lot of time at work. A lot of people make their friends at work. Of course you have friends from your own community, but you make friends because you socialize together. So you take that away from someone's life, that social aspect to work, and all of a sudden it kind of becomes a bit sad and a bit depressing. So there are people out there that are desperate to get back to work as well. I just want to go to the office, and every time, whether it's Boris Johnson in the UK or whoever it may be in any country, any leader says, no, you're going to have lockdown, or you're going to, everything's closed from 5 p.m. It's stopping people just being people.
Just being people. So, all right, let's come back to sort of the passive income specialist. So people are looking, they realize, yes, I need to do something else. I'm not generating enough income. I don't want to wait on the 401k. I don't want to wait on the pensions and the ISAs and all of that business. I need money now. What are some of the things in which you teach people in how to generate passive income? Like, give me some examples that people can follow in order to do that.
Okay, so we need to be really clear. So I've got a really good friend of mine called Lisa Johnson, and Lisa's a specialist in passive income, but I believe she's not. I believe she's a specialist in recurring income. Okay, and so if you want to make money right now, you are going to have to roll your sleeves up and do something. Okay, and there's a million different things which we can talk about and debate till the cows come home. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is taking your money and getting your money to provide you an income. And so getting that money working for you so it provides you an income on a monthly, quarterly basis, whatever it may be that you need. So going back to the question though, let's not confuse recurring and passive. Anyone that sets up a side hustle is finding a recurring income model. Anybody that sets up coaching programs and stuff like that is essentially trying to find a recurring income model, which is money continually coming in based upon you making effort for that to happen. Correct. And that's earned income. That's not passive, that's earned income. You've swapped time for money.
Yep. So let's talk about passive income then. Let's talk clearly about the things in which how do you help people? I've come to you, I have got $250,000. And I'm like, Spencer, I need to make money on this money and I don't want to have to do anything for it. What are some of the things can you tell me to do?
Okay, good question. First things first, I'm on a podcast to you right now. Now for this hour, okay, my ass is yours, all right? I belong to you for this hour. Now, if it was costing me money, let's say I was paid $50 an hour, okay? If I was having to give up $50 to come and talk to you, I'd probably think twice about it, yeah? But I'm making money as I'm sat here right now. That my money is making money right this very second, right now on this podcast, this second it's making money, which means I can sit and talk to you and you can have me for an hour. So the different investment strategies that you can get involved in, there's a myriad of different things. It's not like I'm not a fan of crypto. I am a fan of crypto, but crypto to me is extremely volatile and high risk, and people should only put money in there that they're prepared to lose right now.
Absolutely, 100%.
So arbitrage trading is a big part of what I do nowadays, and arbitrage trading allows arbitrage traders to find small margins across all commodities, currencies, forex, and equity markets. And the arbitrage trading businesses that I work with pay me a regular income from the money I've invested with them. I also invest in food security. And so farming is changing. There are countries in the world, I'm in Dubai, and in Dubai we have not much rain. We have a lot of sand, and so we don't grow much here. It's all shipped in from overseas. We take the sea water and we put it through desalination to make it water we can use. We don't have much in terms of natural resources apart from liquid gold, which is oil. So, and that doesn't taste very nice. So we need fruits and vegetables and all that kind of wonderful stuff. And so food security companies work in I would call it the hydroponic farming space, where they build hermetically sealed chambers that are, let's say, 1 acre in size. They build shelving units, they grow crops in there. Lettuce will take a week, strawberries, tomatoes, 2 weeks. And all of the supermarket chains want them because they use 95% less water and no pesticides. And so you've got really high quality product. And so I'm a big fan of the future of food. You take a farmer's field, he plows it in the winter, he sows his crop in spring, it grows through the summer, he harvests at the end of the summer into autumn, and then he'll plow his field ready for the next year again. That's 1 acre. And then that soil that he's farming on goes meters and meters deep. So as that water goes onto it, it just gets soaked into the soil. So much water is wasted, it's not getting to the crop. On top of that, there's all the kinds of bugs in that plot of land. And so the worms and the berries, the butterflies, or whatever it may be, the bugs are in there eating away at those lovely vegetables that are being grown. And so they're sitting there, happy days. They're happy with that. They've literally got a 1 acre field that's like a dinner table for them. And so that again costs a lot of money, and also the way that counteracts that is by putting a lot of chemicals on it. They've got to put chemicals on it to kill these bugs. Well, I don't want my kids to eat that shit. All right, I want my kids to eat good stuff. And I don't care when people say the word organic. Organic's not good enough for me. What have you put on that? When you go to the supermarket and you buy an apple or an orange, it's got some waxy seal over the top of it.
And then it's even worse, because the average person needs 25 to 36 fruit and veg today. Even if it's organic, you need 15, because that same soil need to be rested every 7 years and be tilled over in order for you to even get the nutrients back in the soil. So even with the organic, the nutrition is not even in the soil.
Yeah, that's right. It's farrow. It has to farrow every year to get it. And that's why when there's forest fires and whatnot, everything regenerates so quickly, because all of the bad stuff's burnt, and then you're left with some great nutrients there ready to go again. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. And so again, I have passive income from there. I have passive income from property investing. But again, there's an element of passive income that is on me. And the element is, if that guy doesn't pay the rent and the letting agency can't handle it, I've got to get off my arse. I've got to go bang on someone's door, and I've got to chase some money down. And if he doesn't pay, or all that nonsense, I've got to get lawyers involved, and I've got to get judgments in, and I've got to do all that. And that's just time. And it's, do you know what kind of energy that is? That's negative energy. That isn't anything positive about that. Having to chase and get lawyers involved to get the money that you're deserved because some donut decided he wasn't going to pay you, and he's got some lame ass excuse, the fact that he can't afford to pay. That's not my problem, pal. You agreed to the terms of the deal, pay the money. So whilst I have property, it used to be a much bigger part of my portfolio than it is now. And I'm focused on those types of areas. And so if I'm talking to people, I only ever talk to people about the things I invest in myself. So I don't sit and advise people on different strategies. I say, this is what I'm doing. This is what it pays me. If you want the same as what I've got, I can put you in touch with those people. But I just want people to be in a better situation than they are. I want people to be doing better than they are. I want people to be winning. And people don't win as much as they could. And that's because of a naivety that really doesn't need to be there. So I campaign for it a bit. I'm a bit, as you'll see on my socials, I'm out there banging the drum and ringing the bell. I just want to wake people up. I'm like, wake up, wake up. Grant Cardone will famously say, do not buy a property you live in, buy a property you rent out. That's all you should do. He'll famously say, I've known Grant for, 15 years. I'm very fortunate to call him a friend of mine now. And, I know the details, a lot of the deals that he does. And there's one thing about that man, and whoever might want to criticize him, they can. He is true to his word. He might be loud and brash, but the man is true to his word, and he is consistent. Okay, and he is honest, and you don't have to like his personality, but trust me, he knows how to make money.
And he is who he is. He's unapologetic, which is what I like. And a lot of people will get a bit hooked up in that. So okay, I want to come back to this. I mean, I invest in property as well, and we've got a decent sized portfolio. We're obviously moving into more of a sort of estate setting in the future, where it's all completely not run by us. At this point, it's all run by our team, which is brilliant, and we get the income from that. So that actually helps. But with trading, forex trading, and with securities, or anything that is that's some sort of passive income, there are risks to those even as well. What would you say to someone who's listening and they're like, Spencer, yeah, it's all well and good you're saying that, but I'm sure there's some risk to it. I'm sure there is some loss to it. I'm sure. What would you say to those people that are listening? How can they better their best? And what are the risks, if any?
Okay, so here's the reality. Most people that say they're risk adverse, that don't like risk, have got their money in the bank. And the money in the bank is the highest risk of any investment you can make. And here's why. You are guaranteed 100% to lose money. There is no question.
Say it again. I want you to say that again, because people don't get that. I really want you to say that again.
If you leave your money in the bank, you are guaranteed, this is not open for discussion, you are guaranteed to lose money. And I'll show you how right now. The bank will pay you at very best 0.5% in interest.
Yep.
Inflation, depending on which country you're in, ranges between 5 and 8%. Well, in some countries it's much more, but on average 5 to 8%. So let's say it's 5%. If you get paid 0.5% by the bank, you're losing, guaranteed losing 4.5% a year. You're paying the bank a privilege to look after your money. Now, if you've got $100,000 and you have to pay the bank $4,500 every year to keep your money in there, I'm sure you'd think twice about leaving it there.
Yes.
And so anybody out there that's got money in the bank that's listening to this, you are mental. You can't leave it there. So that's the first thing. Don't talk to me about risk, because if your money's in the bank, you're in the guaranteed risk game. You're the champion of high risk. That's what you are. All right. You're the pursuer, the winner of the high risk game.
I'm going to write that down. Champion of high risk. I love that.
So when you compare other types of investments, of course, there's always some risk, and different investments have different levels of risk, but it has to be measured, and it has to be quantifiable, and it has to be compared. And comparing to guaranteeing to lose 4,500 a year, I think my stuff's low risk by
comparison. All right,
comparison.
let me ask another question. You talked about being measurable and being comparable. Comparable to what? Is it just comparable to the bank? Comparable to other investments? Comparable to what?
Well, let's take property. We right now, over the last 18 months, has seen the property markets go, in most countries, up like crazy. Mm-hmm. Really, really high performing markets. Now, interest rates have been really low, and we'll take the UK. The UK put interest rates up recently, and in America, they're going to put interest rates up every quarter for the next 4 quarters. Mm-hmm. That means the cost of borrowing goes up, because the mortgage companies, the lending companies, will put their rates up. That means if you're paying 1% interest on your borrowing right now, and you're on an interest-only mortgage, and it goes up to 2% by the end of this year, you have now doubled your mortgage payment. Doubled. Also, if interest rates go up, and they have to go up to curb inflation, what happens is when the cost of borrowing becomes more expensive, people can't afford to buy the properties they thought they could afford to buy before. Okay. And also, because of that, that means the market levels out. And if interest rates then creep up, and then the market will start to dip. It has to dip because prices are unreasonable at the moment. It has to dip. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute the property market's going to crash. That's determined by the central banks of the countries, what interest rates they deploy. Because when the Bank of England puts interest rates to 1%, the mortgage and lending companies put their interest rates up by more than that difference. They'll always put it up by more because they're in the business of making money. So that's a problem. Secondly, you may not have a tenant in your property if you rent it out. That's a risk. You may have someone leave the property and damage the property, which means you've got to spend money on renovating it, painting, decorating, new carpets. I mean, I've had that myself. Okay, and it's real. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's real. It's a risk. Okay. Not only that, you may have a tenant that doesn't leave and you've got to pay the mortgage. You know, I had at one stage in my career, about 20 years ago, I had 10 apartments in London. Those 10 apartments in London that I had were all doing really well. I was very happy. And I had one tenant that didn't pay for 12 months. That wiped out the profit for the year. Just one tenant not paying, because it wasn't just the rent, it was the mortgage that I had to take care of, plus the money over and above the mortgage they were paying in rent. All of my profit for the year was gone. Now, was I gaining in equitable value in the property? Yeah, but was I, from an income perspective, gone? That's a very real risk when you build a portfolio.
Absolutely.
Also, as interest rates go up, companies have to spend more money on the money they've borrowed. They have to pay more.
Correct.
Well, that means there's redundancies, because companies can't afford to pay salaries. When there's redundancies, There's defaults on mortgages.
Correct.
So all of this has a risk. So a lot of people get into this whole property game and think they're going to make a fortune. And don't get me wrong. You buy a property for £100,000, you put £10,000 down, it's worth 110 in 2 years' time. You've theoretically, removing interest, you've theoretically doubled your money. I get that. But it isn't as black and white as that. So there is inherent risk in that. Then you've got letting agents. Letting agents could be dodgy. You've got ones that are good. They want to take a fee out of the money that they're collecting. You don't know if they're in cahoots with anybody. You know what's going on there. So there's all of this involved. Mm-hmm. So there's a risk. When you look at the other 4 asset classes, there's 5 including crypto nowadays, but there's 4 further asset classes: currencies, equities, fixed income, and commodities. All of them have volatility. The lowest of the volatility is the fixed income markets. The rest then have volatility. Individual stocks, forex pairs, soft and hard commodities have risks. But by comparison to most people's understanding of risk, they're not high risk.
Exactly.
They're only high risk if you put your life savings, just like some people might have done on Bitcoin or Ethereum. If you put your life savings on Tesla, you could win or you could bust. So it's probably best that you have a basket of equities.
So let me talk about that now, because this is so key. Financial literacy, financial education, either you learn or you get someone who knows to teach you. That just no 2 ways about it. You either learn it yourself, spend the time to learn it, spend some money, get some courses, do whatever, or you hire the experts and pay the experts well, as Robert Kiyosaki always says. Okay, there's no 2 ways about it. There are some people, though, they will just go into it because everybody else on the hype is making money, and they're thinking, oh, this is the place for me to be because everybody else is there. This is what I've done. Instead of getting the education and or employing somebody who knows what it is that they're doing. And then they lose money. And then they say that thing is bad. And then they say, oh, look at me. And then they obviously tell everybody they shouldn't be doing that. What would you say to those people that are listening, that are saying, yeah, it's all well and good for you to say that because you have the information and you know what you're talking about, but I would like to invest. I ain't got a clue. Where do I start? Who do I go to? Okay,
well, the first thing you got to do is stop blaming everybody for your bad decisions. All right, that's the first thing. You have to take ownership. If you do well and get a bonus at work and they pay you a bonus and you've worked hard and the boss says, well done, great job, there's a bonus. You don't walk around, go home to your wife and say to your wife, you know what, it's because I married you that I got that bonus. You walk in, your shoulders are big and huge. You're like, yeah, I'm amazing. I got a bonus. That was all me. Pat yourself on the back. You tell your wife, she's like, oh, my husband, you're so great. Well done. What a great job you've done. Yeah. So when you win, you take the applause. When you lose, you have to blame? No. If you make bad decisions, you have to take responsibility. You have to own your decisions. Yeah. And so there, of course, crypto is a great example. There is no such thing as an expert in crypto. All right. Everybody's guessing. Yeah. Okay. Now, do people understand the fundamentals behind it? Yeah, but everybody is guessing, because if you'd have listened to the experts in September and in October, they were all telling you it's likely that Bitcoin was going to go to 100,000. Okay. Today, as we speak on this podcast right now, the crypto markets have just gone up after a fall in prices that took crypto down to the 40,000 mark. And so they're sitting there. But when I then interview those people and say, right, you were the guys that said, 100,000 by Christmas. What are we sitting at? 40,000. What went wrong? I don't know. I don't know. But you know what? You've got to accept volatility. It's part of the game. So, it's opinions. That's what it is. It's a bit of theatre and it's opinions. So that's the first situation. Secondly, own it. Please own it. If you choose to employ a financial advisor and you don't do your homework, that's your bad. If you choose to employ a lawyer and you don't do your homework, you're bad. Your decisions, you made them, you messed up. It's not everybody else's fault that you messed up. Now, in every single industry, there are rogues.
Indeed.
There are bad doctors, there are bad dentists, there are bad lawyers, there are bad property people. There are rogues everywhere. Luckily, they're a very small minority. To do your homework. And if you're going to, I believe financial literacy is as important as learning English.
I want to ask you this then. You've got the Make It Happen University.
Yes.
Are those some of those things that you just talked about? do you teach some of those in there? How to mitigate risk? So what are you teaching in there? And if someone comes to you and they're part of this network, this university, and they say, you know what, Spencer, like I really would need some help. Like I kind of need a one-to-one. I kind of need someone to talk to. What would you say to that person who's coming to you because they've heard you share certain things? And what are some of the things that you share more in the university?
What's in it for me to give you an hour of my time? That's what I would say to people. What's in it for me? You want an hour of my time so that I can help you. What's in it for me? Nothing. Okay, great. So why should I give you my time? That's the first thing. I think a lot of people undervalue time. They're busy, you know, people are asking for stuff and they want something for free. No. Okay, so you don't go to sit down with a lawyer and the lawyer says, oh, go on then, I'll do this on the house. The lawyer's like, no, it's 250 quid an hour. You go see it. It doesn't do shit for you. It doesn't do shit. You go and stay in the hospital for the night after having an operation. Stay there for one night. None of that is free, man. They cost you a fortune, or your insurance company anyway. So what's important to understand is somebody asks you for advice, always think to yourself, what's in it for me? Now, there may be something in it, you know. So I'll give you an example. This hour I spend with you, what's in it for me? Exposure to your audience. So I'll get exposure to your audience and hopefully you'll take some micros from here and they'll be valuable to your audience. And maybe some of them will want to follow me and some of them will say, do you know what, he's got some stuff that I like. And some of them will go, I don't like him, he's not my cup of tea. I don't care either way, but there's an upside to me for talking to you. Yeah? And also you talking to me, there's an upside for you because you might be able to leverage some of my audience as well.
Indeed.
So there's a vis-a-vis play here. When it comes to this Make It Happen University, I believe one of the key, most important skills that you need in your life is to learn how to sell.
Yep.
And my grandmother said to me when I was young, you've got the gift of the gab. And when I was a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, whatever it was, I took that as a compliment. As an adult, I take it as an insult. The gift of the gab is an insult to me. I have worked my ass off on my craft.
Yeah.
All right. I have attended more courses, more training programs. Okay, spent millions of dollars over the years on private tuition from all of the greatest, including those big names that you've heard, a load of money, so that I could learn the skills to be really effective as a salesperson.
Yeah.
And so the Make It Happen University is an online product that I created with, I don't know, 450 videos in. There's God knows how much in there. Wow. Everything you would ever need to learn about sales is in there. And I put it in there as essentially my legacy to the world, because when I'm gone, it'll still be there and it will still be relevant. And, you know, and that took months and months and months to make. That was no mean feat. We were in studios recording for weeks on end. There was a lot that went into it. But I really believe that if people understood and respected salespeople, they'd learn how to sell. Okay. Now, I met a girl when I was in London. I was 19 years old. I promise you, she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm in the bar with a couple of buddies and I'm kind of like giving her the eye. Bear in mind, this is before we had mobile phones. I'm giving her the eye. I look at her and I've had 2 or 3 beers. And like 3 hours later, I summon the courage up to go and talk to her. And I walk over to her. I mean, she's beautiful. She's got this dark brown bob, these big brown eyes, big, beautiful lips. She's tight. She's just perfect. And I walk over to her and say, hi, I'm Spencer. She said, what took you so long? I said, what do you mean? She said, you've been staring at me for the last 3 hours. You could have come and said hello. So anyway, I sat there and laughed.
You didn't use your own sales technique. You didn't at that point.
So this is what happened. I built some rapport with her. I learned about what she did. She worked for an architectural firm. She was a receptionist or something. Nice girl, who I ended up being in a long-term relationship with. But anyway, she once I'd asked her about her career, she then said to me, what is it you do? And I said, oh, I'm a salesman. And she looked at me and she rolled her eyes and she said, why do you have to be a salesman? I was like, well, what were you expecting? She said, I was expecting maybe an investment banker, a lawyer, I don't know, someone professional. And I said to her, let me ask you a question. You work for an architectural firm, yeah? She said, yeah. I said, and so you have to get clients. Would that be correct? She said, yes, we do. And there's people in your company that have to get those clients. Yeah. Would you agree? She's like, yeah. I said, and if they don't get those clients, that company doesn't exist anymore, which means you don't have a job. Would that be fair? Okay, so they're the salespeople. They're the people that are the backbone of the business, that bring the money through the doors to pay your wages and to help the company be profitable.
Indeed.
They go through emotional highs and lows. They deal with psychological blows and rejection all day, every day. They still have families to feed. They have roofs to put over people's heads, and they have children to educate. They have car payments to make. And they, with all of that on their shoulders, are responsible for bringing the revenue into the business so that everyone in the business can have their salary at the end of every month, when they probably get a commission. Please show them some respect, because salespeople are important and more than you think.
I love that. You know, I hated sales in the beginning. I read Zig Ziglar's The Secrets of Closing the Sale. My God, I just thought, I have been doing these people a disservice. What is going on with me? When I read that book, I was like, Lord, oh, I now get it. I now get it. And then I started selling like I'm crazy. This is so powerful. Being able to solve a problem or serve people's needs are so powerful, because in every aspect of our life, if we're going on a plane, we're going on a train, which we're going to dinner, somebody has to sell us something in order for us to get there. And so many people have this sort of neurosis and this negative connotation towards sales, when it is the most important thing. A child sells the mother why she wants the ice cream. Like literally everybody sells to one another all day long, but yet there's this negative connotation. I am glad that you have this university to just dispel that myth when it comes to solving a problem or serving a need. Oh, I love it. 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 I understand it now. I understand it now. I heard it before, but I understand it now. Before we close our Spencer, if people want to become part of that community, or they want to sort of understand how to invest, how can they reach you? How can they get a hold of you? You're in Dubai, obviously you travel a lot, you're busy all the time. How can people get in touch with you?
You go to spencer.lodge on Instagram, or you go to Spencer Lodge on LinkedIn, and you send me a message and just say, hey, Spence, I heard you on the podcast. Here's my question, or can you help me, or whatever it may be. And if in the meantime you want to do some research on me, you can go to a YouTube channel. There's gazillions of videos on there, which is Spencer Lodge, Make It Happen. You'll find that if you want to, or go and follow me and watch my content on Instagram, or go and listen to the Spencer Lodge podcast, because I've been blessed with some incredible guests over the years. And I'm, so much so we're making a television documentary at the moment for Netflix on the back of a guest being on the show. And so I'm so privileged to be able to get to meet and interview just some incredible human beings that have been through experiences that most of your listeners couldn't even imagine. Yet they come out of it positively, with renewed hope, looking forward, and planning a better next stage of their lives. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just thinking of some people I need to introduce you to. This one guy, he's got like 25 million listeners. I'm going to be on his podcast. He was on mine. I want to introduce you to him, actually. He's really, really powerful, and he's got an amazing story. So just listening to what you're saying, and it's brilliant. Spencer, thank you so much. This was so good. This was, and I'm glad I got to know a little bit about sort of you, in a sense, and listening to you. Got to get to know a little bit about you. Didn't really go into your personal life, but I feel you in the way you answer those questions. You're blunt, you're in your face to say it as it is. You're not apologetic. You're not trying to be somebody else. You've been through a lot and you know who you are, and you're just letting the world know that.
Isn't thank you so much for those kind words. I really appreciate you saying that. But I don't think I'm any different to someone who's normal. What I think the world has turned into is a woke society of everybody fearing to offend and fearing to talk straight. And I just think it's such utter nonsense that I can't get my head around this whole him, her, him business. I can't. That's just gobbledygook to me. I can't get my head around. Everybody's so offended by everything. And to me, it's like, how do you make a law on being offended? I could be offended by stuff that doesn't offend you, and you could be offended by stuff that doesn't offend me. How the hell can you make a law and start coming down on people about that? And if you've got listeners that are listening to this right now and you get offended easily, seriously, you are nuts. Okay, it's not the person that's speaking, it's you. You decide if you're offended. You decide. Nobody decides to offend you. You can't sit down and say that person offended me. You have to remember everybody's different, you know, and someone might say something that offends you and you might say something that offends them. If we lived a life where the whole world was going mad over that kind of stuff, then the world would grind to a halt. So get over yourself, stop being so bloody dramatic, okay, and realize that we're all human beings. And even if someone has accidentally offended you and did it and it hurt your feelings, 9 times out of 10, it was probably a simple mistake and something they didn't realize. So come on, let's get over this nonsense. You know, I've got 2 daughters at a university right now, and they're incredible human beings. I'm really proud to see who they've become as humans. And I don't want my kids growing up in a world where they can't be themselves. I don't want them going out into the workplace where they have to bite their lip over everything in case they might offend someone. It's like, get on with it, you know. There's rules in society and life which we can't break, and they should be there. And then the rest of it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's open season. So let's just be honest, you know, be who you are, be authentic to yourself, be self-aware, and don't care if that upsets anyone. Because if you're being you, that's all you can be. And authenticity must be at the center of everything you do.
Indeed. Guys, well, listen, you heard it here first from Mr. Spencer Lodge. Wow. And he finished off with that powerful statement about authenticity. Remember, as he said, it's not rocket science. It's business. Self-awareness is crucially important. Remember, if you are looking to invest, get knowledge, get information, but get the thing that makes the most sense to you. If you are looking to understand a little bit more, just reach out to him. And you know, and something that he said was so powerful. You are literally giving the bank your money, that your hard-earned cash, if you don't invest well. Focus on what you can control, not what someone else is doing. Stop the blame game, as he says. Own it. You are responsible for it. And if you truly want to understand sales from the perspective in which he's saying it, go to Spencer Lodge. Go and find him on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. He's on TikTok. He's on Clubhouse. I mean, literally everywhere. And go and check out his podcast. And more importantly, subscribe. Subscribe to YouTube. We're here for a reason. And we're here to impact people's lives. We're all going to die. None of us is going to stay here forever. We might as well get on with it now, change people's lives. And when we leave, people can say that you have been here. So get it done or get help. This is Carmelita here from Carmelita Podcast saying I'll see you soon. And you know, I will see you at the top. That's it.